From a man accused of assaulting a loved one,
and upon contact with the defendant, who was in the driver's seat of the vehicle, the officer detected an odor of an alcoholic beverage, glossy eyes, and slurred speech.
To a woman recklessly speeding through city streets,
the defendant then proceeded to drive around the officer's vehicle, almost striking his rear right bumper, and the defendant also failed to signal a lane change.
These cases showcase shocking behavior and Judge Fleischer's firm, no-nonsense approach to delivering accountability and justice. Starting with Mr. Morales, who is facing charges for driving while intoxicated, a serious offense we know and expect not to be taken lightly.
You are Juan Morales Halel. So you're charged with driving while intoxicated. It's elevated to a Class A misdemeanor because of the high blow. So you are facing a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Good morning. On December 1st, 2024, at approximately 12:11 a.m., the officer conducted a traffic stop on the defendant's vehicle after observing it fail to maintain a single lane as it drove from the second to the fourth lane without using a turn signal, nearly striking the officer's marked vehicle. The vehicle continued to drive outside of the marked lane as it drove north on Hillcroft Avenue, and upon contact with the defendant, who was in the driver's seat of the vehicle, the officer detected an odor of an alcoholic beverage, glossy eyes, and slurred speech. The defendant admitted to drinking prior to driving, and standard field sobriety tests were attempted. However, officers were unable to observe HGN because the defendant was unable to follow instructions. Walk and turn, 5 out of 8 clues were found, and one leg stand, 3 out of 4 clues were found. The DIC was read, and the defendant consented to breath. The results were .191, .188.
Okay. Any prior DIs?
No, Your Honor.
Have you run it?
There's no driver's license on record, Your Honor.
It's got to run something. If you can run an NCIC, an FBI number, just let's make sure he doesn't have any prior DWIs. Just because it says a DWI first doesn't mean anything.
Yes, sir. We run that, and there's no prior.
Okay.
There's no driver's license.
Mr. Morales, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. Are you a United States citizen?
No.
Are you in this country with or without permission?
Without permission.
What happens if you go to jail, Ms. Morales?
I don't have any idea. I don't know.
Are you in this country with or without permission?
Sin permiso. I'm without permission.
So what happens if you go to jail?
Entonces, ¿qué le pasaría?
I want you to think about
¿Qué
this.
piensa acerca de esto? Yes, you're right. I shouldn't be doing this here.
Immigration sweeps the jail on a daily basis, every couple of hours. If they find you in the jail, they will put a detainer on you and you will be stuck in custody until this case is over with and then shipped off to immigration. You will sit in jail for about 6 to 9 months, if not longer, waiting for all that to happen. If you do not want that to happen, then don't violate my laws, don't endanger my public, and follow my conditions. The first condition is you're not to drive. You don't have a Texas driver license, so you're not allowed to drive, and I'm making that a condition of your bond. You will be signing a promise with me today indicating that you're not going to drive, and I don't care what your deal is. I don't care what your excuse is. You cannot justify getting into a car for any reason. If you do, you will go to jail, and I can have a contempt hearing and hold you with another 180 days and a $500 fine every time you drive. Likewise, no dope, no illegal drugs, no alcohol. You will be randomly tested. You test positive for drugs or alcohol, likewise, you will go to jail. You have a lawyer. It is your responsibility to stay in touch with Mr. It says, I have Sharma.
That's it. It's the other Morales. It's Juan.
The top of
Oh, okay. You have a lawyer. It's your responsibility to stay in touch with counsel. If you lose out of contact, if he tells me that he can't get a hold of you because you're playing games, likewise, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. Mr. Morales, you will not get any more warnings. Heed this, take this as it is. If you don't, we have only one place for you.
Caso tenemos un lugar para usted. Okay.
All right, we'll have you come up here, swear to us that you're not gonna drive. We'll get you to Ramona to sign a reset. You will get with Felicia of your bond conditions, and after that, you're free to go.
While Mr. Morales faced charges for driving while intoxicated, Mr. Gracia stood accused of assaulting a loved one. It's disheartening to see how some resort to violence instead of choosing communication. Let's see how Judge Fleischer addresses these troubling cases.
All right, good morning, Mr. Garcia.
Good morning.
Sir, you were charged with assault of a family member. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On November 29th, 2024, officers responded to a call for service made on November 28th, 2024. The complainant called and stated the defendant, who she was in a dating relationship with for 2 years, was sitting outside her apartment. The officer met with the defendant before the complainant, who stated he saw the complainant talking to male friends, which made him upset. The defendant stated he approached the complainant and slapped and pushed her. The complainant stated that she was in the kitchen when the defendant suddenly became angry. The defendant approached her and slapped her on the left cheek, which caused her pain. The defendant proceeded to push her on the ground and then punched her on the left arm above her elbow area. While she was on the ground, the defendant kicked her on the left side of her body and struck her on the shin and below her knee. The defendant also struck the complainant in her abdomen, which knocked the wind out of her, and the officer observed a red and purple bruise on the complainant's arm and other redness consistent with an assault.
See if he's on probation or parole at this time, please, Alex.
I'll see, Your Honor.
Mr. Garcia, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case, and I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with this person. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I want you to understand something, Mr. Garcia, that I'm going to protect every person in this county. And if I have to take you down, dragging, kicking, and screaming and putting your butt in jail to protect everyone, I'll do it in a heartbeat. If I need to make your bond $50,000, $150,000, $10 million, I'll do it in a heartbeat to protect every single person. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You are not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs, and I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using, likewise, you will go to jail. You will not get any more PR bonds. Do you understand?
And Your Honor, he's not on probation at this time.
There is a protective order that has been issued in this case. I would get to know it. Because you violate this protective order, the state can and will file a violation of protective order. It's one of the worst cases you can pick up. You violate conditions on a VPO, I can hold you at no bond, zero bond, and I'll do it in a heartbeat. Do you understand? We're going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. So I'm going to have you first go to Ramona, sign a reset. After that, I'm going to have you go to Felicia for your bond conditions. And after that, you're free to go. Take care in my free world, because if you don't, I'm going to take it away from you.
Yes, sir.
Just like Mr. Gracia, Miss Sanchez escalated matters to an entirely new level, attacking her partner during a drunken argument over Christmas lights. Talk about turning holiday cheer into chaos. By now, it's clear Judge Fleischer won't stand for such behavior.
Good morning, Miss Sanchez.
Good morning, sir.
Ma'am, you were charged with assault of a family member. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, ma'am.
Defendant were in a dating relationship for 5 years. On November 27th, 2024, officers were dispatched to a residential home in Harris County, Texas, in reference to a family assault in progress. The officer contacted the complainant on the phone and could hear him screaming in pain, telling the defendant to get off of him and to stop pulling his hair. Officer asked the complainant if the defendant was still assaulting him, and the complainant responded yes. Defendant fled the scene on foot when officers arrived. The complainant gave the direction of travel to the officer. The complainant stated he and the defendant had been putting up Christmas lights after drinking, and an argument ensued. The complainant said the defendant began attacking him by pulling his hair, causing pain. The complainant fell to the ground and the defendant proceeded with kicking him. The complainant said that when the defendant drinks, she gets aggressive and wants to fight. Officers returned the defendant to scene and she would not cooperate, was yelling obscenities at the complainant, and was acting belligerently.
Okay. Ms. Sanchez, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you now as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs, and I will randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming alcohol or illegal drugs, I will put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bonds. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
If you don't have anyone to pony up $5,000 to $10,000 on a bond for you, guess what happens? You'll be stuck like Chuck until this case is over with. And I'm going to tell you, it takes damn near 9 months just to get a 911 tape. Behave while you're out there in the free world, or I will take the free world away from you.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Tell me, what do you do for a living?
I'm a recruiter, skilled trades, and then operations coordinator.
You have an income.
Not at this moment. I recently got laid off in October.
Okay. I have an application already on file. Do you want a court-appointed lawyer, ma'am?
At this time, yes, sir. If you could, please.
We need to talk about the complaining witness.
So Conrad has spoken to the complainant and he would like no contact as well as a residency restriction, Judge.
Okay. You heard that, Miss Sanchez. There's a protective order that has been issued in this case. The protective order was issued on November 28th. I would suggest you get to know it. If you violate the protective order, they can and will file a violation of a protective order against you, and that is the capital murder of misdemeanors. It's one of the worst cases you could pick up over here.
Oh,
Do
yes,
you
sir.
understand? So
Yes, sir.
don't have any contact with them,
That's not a problem, sir.
be in possession of weapons, and don't go back to the house listed on the protective order, which is at the Woodlands West.
That is not a problem, sir.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you sign a receipt with Ramona. We'll have you get with Felicia for your bond conditions, and then we'll have you take a seat in the jury box while we
Yes,
find
sir.
your lawyer. Do you mind filing no contact and no weapons, please?
Yes, Judge. And did you also say no alcohol or?
Oh, you know what? Don't worry about it, because since she's monitored,
Yes.
don't even worry about it. Right.
Moving on, this case would make anyone question how some people believe it's acceptable to treat the streets like their personal racetrack. Here's Mr. Egan, facing charges for reckless and drunk driving. It's truly alarming to think that some people would so recklessly endanger lives.
Good morning, Mr. Egan. Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
24, officers conducted a traffic stop on defendant's motor vehicle after observing it pass him at a high rate of speed, make multiple lane changes, and swerve in and around cars in a reckless manner. Officer accelerated to catch up to defendant and reached speeds of over 100 miles per hour to keep up with him. The defendant traveled about 7 miles in about 4 minutes. Upon contact with the defendant, officer observed glassy eyes, a strong odor of alcoholic beverage, an open beer can in the center console, a 6-pack of beer in the passenger seat, and spilt beer that was still cool to the touch in the front passenger seat.
Drinking while driving?
Yes, Judge. The defendant admitted to drinking. SFSTs were conducted, 4 out of 6 HGN, 6 out of 8 walk and turn, 2 out of 4 one-leg stand. DICs were read and consented to. The defendant blew a .147 and a .139. He does have an eligible driver's license, Judge.
Can you look to CPS and you prior DWIs, please?
He had a DWI out of Travis County, but he was released without prosecution, Judge. So it's just a charge.
2 things. I am ordering you not to drive at all. You will be signing an affidavit with me today, Mr. Egan. This is a promise that you're going to make to me that you're not going to drive. I don't give a rat's behind what your excuse is. I don't care if Mother Teresa needs to ride to church. If I find that you drive, I can have a contempt hearing. You can be facing an additional 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every time you drive, because it's an offense in and of itself. Do you understand? I'm also now ordering you to obtain a handheld interlock device that you're going to take with you everywhere you go to prove to me that you're not consuming alcohol. At the next time, if I find that you violate conditions, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bonds. Do you understand me? We are sending a court order to DPS in Austin so that every single officer in this state will know that if you are pulled over, any car that you're to drive must have an ignition interlock on it. I'm ordering you not to drive at all. But if at some point you do, by some miracle, get the ability to drive, I'm ordering you not to drive any vehicle that doesn't have an ignition interlock on it. So if you're caught driving a vehicle and it doesn't have an interlock on it, you will go to jail. Do you understand? And then if I find that you drive, we can have a contempt hearing. So just don't drive and don't use alcohol. Do you understand? Or illegal drugs. We are going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. So I will have you come up here, swear to us that you're not going to drive. I'll get you to Ramona sign it. I will get you to Ramona sign a reset. You will then get with Felicia for your bond conditions. And after that, we'll let you go. Don't pick up any new cases. Behave yourself, because I'm going to tell you now, Mr. Egan, I will do everything in my power to protect my streets. And if that means locking you up and putting your bond in a sky-high amount, I'll do it in a heartbeat. Do you understand? All right.
Now, Judge Fleischer is confronted with Justice Uchi, who was found passed out behind the wheel with his car still in drive after a night of heavy drinking. Actions like this have no excuse.
All right, so you are Justice Uchi.
Sir.
Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
On November 27th of 2024, officers were dispatched to a person down call at the intersection of Bagby and Elgin Street. Officers observed the defendant's motor vehicle stopped in a moving lane of traffic. HFD advised that when they arrived earlier, the defendant was in the driver's seat behind the wheel with his foot on the brake and the vehicle in drive. HFD EMT further advised that when the driver woke up, he admitted to having been drinking. Officers observed a strong odor of alcoholic beverage and glassy eyes on the defendant. SFSTs were conducted, 6 out of 6 HGN, 8 out of 8 walk and turn, 4 out of 4 one-leg stand. On the way to JPC, the defendant threw up in the patrol vehicle. DICs were read but refused, and a search warrant for blood was signed and executed. He does have an eligible driver's license, Judge. He doesn't have any prior DWIs, but he has juvenile history.
Mr. Sertucci, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. Do you have valid liability insurance in your name? You have car insurance?
Sir.
All right, I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using alcohol or illegal drugs, your bond will be revoked. You will go to jail. No more PR bonds. You understand?
Sir.
I see that you have a lawyer. Because you have a lawyer, we will waive your appearance. You don't have to waste your time coming to court, but you must stay in touch with Mr. Saman. He'll tell you when you have to come back to court. For now, I'll have you sign a receipt with Ramona. We'll have you get with your bond conditions with Felicia, and then we'll have you take a seat in the back, wait for Mr. Omar. All right? Please.
While Mr. Justice crossed the line with drunk driving, Mr. Deval took things in a different direction, an argument with his neighbors that escalated into an assault charge. It's unsettling to see someone lose control so completely.
Good morning, Mr. Deval. Sir, you're charged with assault causing bodily injury. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, sir. The officers was dispatched to a residence in Harris County, Texas, in response to a disturbance with a weapon. The complainant advised that she was in her home when she heard someone knocking loudly on the front door. When the complainant's husband, the witness, opened the door, he and the defendant started arguing. The complainant stepped between them to try to stop the fight, and the defendant shoved her, causing her to fall to the ground and hit her head, causing pain. The witness told the officers that when the complainant fell, the defendant called her a dumb bitch, and when the officer spoke to the defendant, he stated that he went over to the complainant's house after the complainant and the defendant's wife got into an argument. The defendant then stated that the witness chased him with a machete and a baseball bat. The officers did not find either of those items at the location.
Who said that?
The defendant stated the witness chased him, but the officers did not find this.
Okay. Do we know if she still wants to have contact? Have you got the rip done?
The rip was done.
Yes, Judge. I spoke to this complainant. She's requested no contact. I think they're neighbors. They live about a mile away from each other. And then she's just requested that he's not allowed to come to her property either.
Okay. But the bad blood is, I guess, between the gentlemen as well, though.
I think it's between
Right.
both families. She explained to me that there was a argument that was started a couple months ago, just between them, and then it's kind of been ongoing since then.
Okay. All right, Mr. Deval, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Don't have contact with these people. I see there's bad blood, but it's just not worth it sitting in a box 6x9 for months on end because it's just some bad blood.
Yes, sir.
Just don't go back over there. Don't have contact with them. Don't be in possession of weapons, and then everyone's happy.
One question, that is my aunt's house. So, sometimes I do have to drop stuff up.
I would use someone else.
Yes, sir.
The problem is that I don't want you to go over there.
Yes, sir, I understand.
One day they're accidentally there, they start popping off to you, and then boom, you're the one that's on bond for this case. So even if they call the cops and it's not true and they start, fibbing and saying this, the cops come out, they're going to be on you because you got the open case.
Yes, sir.
So when you get into a pissing match with people with authority, 9 times out of 10, you're just going to lose, right? So it's best to prevent all that. So that's why we do this.
Yes,
So
sir.
just don't go over there, don't have any contact, and then we're all happy.
Yes, sir.
What do you do for a living?
Construction.
Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer?
Yes,
What kind of money do you make a month?
Well, I just got back to work. I make right at 25 an hour.
If you want time, I can give you time to hire a lawyer. If you have any issues and you're unable.
I use Juan Vasquez. Juan Vasquez.
Okay. Is that, you want to go hire this person then?
Yeah, I will hire him.
Okay. So what we're gonna do now.
I was told that I didn't need a lawyer because more likely this would be thrown out.
Do that.
No, Mr. Vasquez, it says something.
I don't see how anyone can say that without.
Because
Okay,
I didn't.
So I got a bunch of DAs here. Everything you say is recorded. They use it, so just don't. Better to have the lawyer work on it to try to work it to your favor, but just don't say anything now because anything you say, they're going to use it against you. So I'm going to have you sign a reset with Ramona. We'll have you take a seat in the jury box. I'll get your bond conditions. We'll have you sign it. And then after that, you'll be free to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
The chaos doesn't stop there. This time, Judge Fleischer is dealing with yet another offender. Mr. Johnson faces charges of criminal mischief after causing destruction and creating a chaotic scene while intoxicated.
Good morning, Mr. Johnson. Sir, you're charged with criminal mischief. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. Officers were dispatched to a disturbance at a residence in Harris County, Texas. The complainant, the father of the defendant, told the officers that the defendant was being aggressive toward him and other guests because he was intoxicated. The complainant advised the defendant does not live at the house and was temporarily sleeping on the couch. The defendant began yelling at the officer and quickly approached him. The officer detained the defendant. In the living room, the officer observed damage to the wall and rug, as well as broken dishes. The damage was approximately $800.
Damage? I didn't hear.
I'll check the damages. I see that he told the officer the defendant was being aggressive toward him and other guests, and the officer observed damage to the wall and rug. And let me.
Wonderful. Who did that?
There was I apologize. There was
It's
a
okay.
witness, I think it was the defendant's brother. So the complainant, the owner of the house, had stepped out of the house. And then while he was out, the witness, the brother, observed the defendant, break dishes and punch holes in the wall.
Okay, so you have a witness that puts him breaking the stuff.
Yes, Judge.
Okay. All right. Mr. Johnson, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm now ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. I want you to understand one thing and hear me clear, Mr. Johnson, that if I make your bond $5,000 to $10,000 because you violate conditions and you don't have anyone to pony up that kind of money, you will be stuck like Chuck until this thing is over with. So consider this when you're out there in the free world, because if I find that you violate these conditions, you go back to this house, you start breaking more property, I'm going to put you in custody and I'm going to make your bond high. You understand? How old are you, sir? What do you do for a living?
I'm a caretaker for my brother. My brother's legally blind, so caretaker for him.
You earn money from the state for doing that.
Sure.
How much money do you earn money from the state?
$900 a month.
How much time does that take of your day to take care of? And how old is your brother?
Brother is 33. Takes about 4 hours, 5 hours a day.
A week?
A day, 5 hours a day. Yes, sir.
Did you want to apply for a court-appointed lawyer, sir? I'm absolutely serious when I mean no drugs, no alcohol. I'm telling you now, I'm going to test you like crazy. And if I find that you're using, especially while you're getting paid by the state, if I find that you're using, it's not going to go well for you. Do you understand? Take note, because heed this warning, sir. All right, I'm going to have you, Stephen's going to give you an application. I'm going to have you sign a research with Victoria. We're going to have bond conditions created for you. You will sign for these conditions and then we'll find your lawyer, sir. Come on. Oh, wait. Sorry. You're not to have any contact with the complaining witness in this case. You're not to go back to this house. Do you understand? You're not to be in possession of any weapons as well.
I will say, Judge, I did speak to the complainant, his father. He does want to continue to have contact. He said that the defendant has apologized and he's not letting him stay there anymore, but he would like to be able to have contact with him.
You know, Mr. Johnson, there are people in this life that when they drink and when they use, they become very happy people and they're fun to hang around with. You know, they're the life of the party. They make jokes. They're great. And then there are those that when they consume, they develop horns. They are not nice. They start to be aggressive. They beat everybody up. If this is you, then don't use. Do you understand? Because if you cannot control yourself, because I'm going to tell you now, 90% of the people that we have, no self-control. And it gets worse when you start using. You understand? Okay. I will allow contact, but you're not to have any threatening or harassing contact with the complaining witness in this case. What is threatening or harassing doesn't matter what you think. I could give a rat's ass what you think. It's how they perceive. So if I go like this, it could be very well threatening or harassing. So if you go back home and we find that you start acting like this, I'm going to put you in custody. You understand?
Say something.
Sure. I don't want to talk about the case. I'm just giving you the expectation of how we're going to move forward. That's it. I just be nice. It's not hard. And if consuming makes you devilish, done. Got it? All right, come on.
While Mr. Johnson faced charges for his reckless actions, now we have 3 men, each facing DUI charges. From driving without headlights to running red lights, their actions put lives at risk. Let's see how Judge Fleischer handles their reckless behavior.
Gentlemen, I'm bringing all of you here now because I don't want to repeat myself 15 times. All of you stand charged with driving while intoxicated. All of you are facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause on each of your cases. Each of you have the right to remain silent, the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you. Let's start with Mr. Acosta.
The officer initiated a traffic stop after observing the defendant drive without headlights at 8 p.m. Upon contact, the officer observed red glassy eyes and an odor of an alcoholic beverage. The officer called the Spanish speaker to assist, and in plain view on the passenger front seat, the officer observed an open and an empty bottle of alcohol. The defendant
Drinking while driving, is that what you're saying?
There was an open container, Your Honor. And the officer conducted standard field sobriety test. The HGN was unable to be completed due to the defendant's failure to follow instructions. The officer then transported the defendant to JPC, where DICs were read. The defendant consented to breath, with the results being 0.132 and 0.140.
What did you say the stop was for?
For driving without headlights at night.
Mr. Acosta, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. All right, let's go with Mr. Mason.
Yes, Your Honor. On November 29th, 2024, the officer was flagged down by a witness at Tomball Parkway. The officer observed the defendant's parked vehicle on the #1 lane northbound feeder road with hazard lights on. Upon contact with the defendant, the officer observed the defendant to have red glassy eyes and a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage. The defendant admitted to drinking prior to driving. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted. HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 1 out of 8, and 1 leg stand 0 out of 4. The DIC was read and defendant consented to breath. The results were 0.093 and 0.089.
So he was by himself?
He was by himself, Your Honor. He was just stuck on, park. His vehicle was parked in northbound feeder road with hazard lights on.
Got it. Okay, I see it. All right, Mr. Mays, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case as well. Lastly, Mr. Ulloa.
Yes, Judge. On December 1st, 2024, officer conducted a traffic stop on the defendant's vehicle after observing it run a red light at an intersection. And upon contact, the defendant was observed to have a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage, red glassy eyes, slurred speech, and was stumbling. The defendant stated he was coming from a bar and admitted to drinking prior to driving. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted. HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 3 out of 8, 1 leg stand 3 out of 4. The DIC was read, but the defendant refused, and a search warrant was signed and executed.
Have you checked on all 3 to see whether they have other DWIs? Prior DWIs?
Acosta has no priors, Mesa has no priors, and Ulloa also no prior DWIs.
Gentlemen, I don't know what your immigration status is, but if you were not in this country with permission and you go to jail and immigration finds you they will put a detainer on you and you will be stuck like Chuck in custody until these cases are over with. And then you will be shipped off to immigration, or you will sit for another 6 to 9 months waiting for immigration to do whatever they're going to do. If you do not have a Texas driver license, you are not allowed to drive. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Are you this United States citizen? Are you in this country with or without permission, sir?
Sin permiso.
What happens if you go to jail? What did I just tell you? Did you hear anything that I just said?
Vuelvo a mi país. Regreso a mi país.
With me, send back to
And how long will you sit in custody for that to happen?
9 meses, 6
9
meses.
months. Yes.
Likewise, are you in this country with or without permission, sir?
Without permission.
Do you understand everything that we said? You as well. Are you here? Are you a United States citizen?
With permission.
What type of permission do you have?
At work.
I don't know whether you're lying to me or not. And Mr. Ulloa, it really doesn't matter. But I'm trying to warn you of the consequences of what happens if you go to jail. It really makes no difference to me whether you're this, whether that, I don't care. All I know, gentlemen, I want my streets safe. And if you don't have a Texas driver license, you're not allowed to drive. Each of you will be signing a promise with me that you're not going to drive. And I don't care what your reason is. If I find that you drive, and I don't care, Jesus comes from heaven and needs to ride to church. You get into a car and drive, we will have issues. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand? Likewise, I'm ordering you not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming alcohol or any illegal drugs, likewise, you will go to jail. No more PR bonds for you. Do you have a Texas driver license?
No, I haven't gotten it.
What's funny?
Qué gracioso.
No, que siento culpa porque pude haber evitado muchas cosas.
No, I just feel guilty. I could have avoided many
Stop.
things.
I don't want you to say anything. You're in enough trouble as it is right now. Don't make things worse for you. The only 3 things I'm asking for you: don't drink, don't use illegal drugs, don't drive, and stay out of trouble. As long as you can do that, gentlemen, you and I will be fine. If I find that you're a danger to my public, I will put you over my knee, treat you like a child, and spank you like a child, but I will do it with a ton of jail time. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
All right, we're going to reset each of your cases to give you time to hire a lawyer. So what's going to happen now, gentlemen? I will have you come up here. Each of you will sign a document promising me that you're not going to drive. After that, I will get you to Ramona, where each of you will sign a reset. We're going to get you out of here for you guys to go hire a lawyer. After that, you will each get with Felicia for your bond conditions, so you sign and so you know exactly what you can and cannot do. After that, you will be free to go. Gentlemen, you are lucky that you're not in custody now. Make the most of it, because the next time you go to jail, you may not get as lucky. And I'm telling you, on any given day, I have about 10 people that are sitting in there with immigration detainers. Don't push your luck. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Miss Flores, charged with interfering in an assault investigation involving her own family. It's shocking that she thought obstructing justice was the best way to handle their family issues.
Good morning, Miss Flores. Ma'am, you were charged with interference with the duties of a public servant. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you.
Yes, Judge. Officers were dispatched to a residence in Harris County, Texas, in response to a family disturbance. The reportee stated that her brother assaulted her father, and the officer went upstairs to make contact with the brother. The officer could hear yelling inside the bedroom and instructed the brother to come out. The brother opened the door but refused to come out of the bedroom and then closed the door on the officer. The officer entered the bedroom when the defendant, the brother's wife, stepped in between the officer and the brother. The officer attempted to detain the brother for the assault investigation, but the defendant continued to step in between the two.
All right, ma'am, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm not going to put any conditions on your bond. Just be careful. You know, it's when you get into a pissing match with people with authority to arrest, who's gonna win? Right. Just be careful. What do you do? How old are you, man?
30.
What do you do with yourself these days?
I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher. I work
At an elementary school, or
Goddard School of Katie.
would you like to apply for an appointed lawyer, man?
Yes.
Okay. Stephen, I'm going to give you an application for an appointed lawyer. I'm going to have you sign a reset with Ramona. We'll have you take a seat while we just wait and try to find your lawyer, man. Okay? Please.
Finally, we have Ms. Wilson, who faces charges of reckless driving after speeding at 100 miles per hour and coming dangerously close to colliding with a police officer's vehicle.
Morning, Ms. Wilson. Ma'am, you were charged with reckless driving. You're facing up to 30 days in jail and or a $500 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
Yes, Judge. On November 30th, 2024, at 9:03 p.m., the officer was traveling eastbound on Katy Freeway when the defendant's vehicle drove behind the officer's vehicle and began continuously flashing the vehicle's bright lights at the officer. The defendant then proceeded to drive around the officer's vehicle, almost striking his rear right bumper, and the defendant also failed to signal a lane change. And upon pacing the defendant's vehicle, the officer discovered the defendant was traveling 100 miles per hour in a 60 mile per hour zone. The traffic stop was initiated, and the defendant was stopped in lane 1, putting both the defendant and the officer in danger due to moving traffic, which the officer then moved the scene to a parking lot.
Some kind of medical emergency or anything? Just.
No, Your Honor, no statements regarding anything.
Ms. Wilson, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Do you have a valid Texas driver license?
Yes.
You run a
I'll run it,
license.
Your Honor.
Shh. Do you have liability insurance in your name? Do you have car insurance? Okay. What do you do for a living, man?
I'm sorry.
What do you do for a living?
I operations expert.
What does that mean?
I work for Anthem Blue Shield. My position is operations expert.
And how much money do you make a month?
I am on FMLA right now, so I'm not working necessarily full time due to that.
So how much money do you have coming in a month? Okay, we're going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. I want you to understand that if I find that you're driving like this, I'm going to take your privilege to drive away from you. You're going to sign an order today promising us that you're not going to drive recklessly, no racing, driving in this manner. If I find that you do, I'll tell you, living in a city as big as Houston without the ability to drive really blows. So don't. All we want our streets to be safe. Do you understand me? Okay. I'm going to have you sign a reset with Ramona. After that, we'll just have you take a seat. While we get your bond conditions, we'll have you sign it, and then you'll be on your way, man.
Judge, if I'm not able to hire an attorney, similar position, because I
You make quite a bit of money. You have to qualify for an appointed lawyer, be at or near the poverty line. And when you make a lot of money like you do, which is great, I can't just appoint your lawyer. We don't give them like candy because I have a limited amount. And if they can only take so many cases, and if I give you one, I might not have one for another person who really, really needs it, So we'll give you time though, and you'll have plenty of time. And remember, there's like a gajillion and one lawyers in Harris County. Negotiate with them. Say, hey, I can pay this much. 90% will put you on a payment plan, and don't take up a first blush. Renegotiate with them. They say, okay, I'll charge you this much. Okay, well, I can do this much, and then I can pay as we go, a couple $100s a month, and then but remember, it's like buying a car. Don't go to a Ferrari dealership. Don't go to Bugatti. Go to what? Okay? Okay, man, please don't leave until you sign our bond conditions. And if you can file no reckless driving, no racing,
Yes, Judge.
etc.
Yes,
Please. Okay, please.
That's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.